Hello everyone. So today we are going to discuss about the ocean currents. What are ocean currents and how they have been originated. So ocean currents is basically the movement of water in the oceans. It basically represents that a large chunk of water is moving. So first of all, a major ocean current which we have is the equatorial current because it is a large oceanic current. Let's say we have equator and this is east, this is west, and a current is flowing in this direction from east to the west. So we need to discuss that why this current is flowing from east towards west. So in climatology we have discussed that we have trade winds in this region from 0 degree to 30-degree latitude, and in this we have trade winds. Trade winds have this direction. As Coriolis force work here, the direction of those trade winds is inclined and they are moving towards the west. So this movement of the trade winds towards the west gives the strength or the force to the water to move from the east direction towards the west. And this is how a major chunk of water which is present in this region would start to move towards the west. The major force here is trade winds. Obviously, Coriolis force do play a role here. Because of that, it deflects towards the west direction. Moving on, we are going to discuss the complete circulation, which is uh, present here, that is known as Gaia circulation. And in this circulation, we are going to see that how the water moves from one corner, it means the east part, to the west, and further on the cycle completes and it will end at the same point from where it was started. So we would be starting a discussion from the same point, it means the equatorial point, and we will be going to see how this complete cycle would go on. This is our equator. Due to the presence of trade winds, it would be moving from east towards the west in the northern hemisphere. Now, in the northern hemisphere, this happens. Now, looking at the scenario, as we know that at the equator, we are at the equator, we are going to write it here. At the equator, salinity is less compared to the salinity of tropical regions. We have less salinity. Now we are comparing with the tropics. So due to that's why less density, lesser या फिर denser air would rise. So यहाँ पर denser air less denser air होगी इसलिए वो rise करेगी. And when it will start to rise from here, it will rise from here and it will start to move towards the tropics and later on towards the polar regions also. So a large chunk of water has moved from east part to the west, collected here. As the density of air is lesser here, that's why it rises from here. In the upper troposphere, it moved to this direction, reaching to the subpolar regions. It is present here now, subpolar and the temperate regions, but reaching to this point. Now, as the westerlies are present here, from the 30-degree to 60-degree latitudes. The direction of the westerlies is this. These westerlies would take this total chunk of water which reached to this region towards this region and collect it here. These westerlies will take all the water to those regions. And from here, as the air would become less denser, it will rise. And it will come down here. This is known as Gaia circulation. The same circulation also exists in the southern hemisphere. We have the same southern equatorial current. This is northern equatorial current, and this is southern equatorial current. Less denser air would rise from this point, move in the upper troposphere, come down. With the help of westerlies, it will also move towards the western part. But in the southern hemisphere, as the continental part is less, this will go straight. The direction of the water current would be straight. It will come to this point, and from this point, less denser air would rise, and later on, in the upper troposphere, it will move this way and come down at the equator. This is how this cycle will go on. So this is known as Gaia circulation and how the movement would take place in the oceans. Started from the east corner of the equator, this cycle would get completed this way. This is how all the ocean currents get generated. And now we are going to see the ocean currents of the Atlantic Ocean. One thing is common everywhere in all the ocean currents is we would be seeing the Gaia circulation everywhere, like in the northern hemisphere also and in the southern hemisphere also. Whenever the current will be moving from equator, it will have warm water. So we will call it warm ocean current. But if it is coming from the poles, we will call it cold ocean current. Warmer if moving from equator, colder if moving from poles. Now we will start with the ocean currents of Atlantic Ocean. First of all, as we have seen in the Gaia circulation, that this is the northern equatorial current. It is northern equatorial current. We are now discussing about the Atlantic Ocean, so just focusing on this small area. So this is northern equatorial current moving from the east toward the west. Coming here, this current would move inside this Gulf of Mexico. So moving inside this Gulf of Mexico, there are some Aleutian islands also. Some part will move direct and some will go inside. So it is Aleutian current. When they will merge together, it is known as Gulf Stream. This will known as Gulf Stream. Now it will move forward, and what we are going to see that it is drifted towards the east. Why it is drifted toward the east? Due to the presence of Coriolis force. As we are increasing in latitude, the Coriolis force is increasing. Due to increase in Coriolis force, it will deflect towards the east direction here. So now it is deflected towards the east and it is reaching here. So as this region is in the higher latitudes, these temperate latitudes, still we are going to see that these latitudes had some warmer water. Why this water is warmer? Due to the coming of the Gulf Stream to these regions, and it is known as Norwegian current. We also have some current which is coming from upward direction, and that is Labrador current from this direction. Labrador current. It is cold current. This is cold. But North Equatorial Current, Gulf Stream, Aleutian Current, all these are warmer. So the current which is going from the equatorial side is always warmer. That is why these currents were warmer. But Labrador current is cold. Now this would be drifted downwards. So as it would be coming downwards, this would be colder current because it is coming from the poles. If the water is coming from the poles, it is colder current, and it is known as, this current is known as Canary current. This is the northern hemisphere circulation. Same circulation we have in the southern hemisphere. This is known as southern equatorial current. And it will move towards the circulation, and this is Brazil current on the name of the country. And then it will get drifted, that is known as westward drift towards this. It is westward drift. And then coming back to the circulation, this is Venezuela current. This is the circulation of the Atlantic Ocean. So this is how the ocean current flows in the Atlantic Ocean. Now now the Pacific Ocean currents. So in Pacific Ocean also we have the same currents. We have the currents like we have the northern equatorial current, the most important one, the northern equatorial current. This northern equatorial current will move towards the north direction, and that is known as Kuroshio current. These are warmer current which are moving from equator. Next one we have is Oyashio current. Oyashio current. Next one we have is Aleutian current. One is coming from upward, that is Bering current, cold current. Then Alaska current, colder current. Next Californian current, also colder current. This is how the cycle in the northern hemisphere would complete. Now moving to the southern hemisphere part, we have southern equatorial current. This will move towards this. This is East Australian current. And after reaching here, this wind will be drifted towards the east direction. As it is drifting from the west direction, that's why it is known as west wind drift. Then it will move to this direction, that is known as Peru current, very famous current for upwelling reasons also. This is how the ocean currents of Pacific Ocean will exist. And next is the ocean currents of the Indian Ocean. So in case of Indian Ocean, we have the ocean currents only in the southern hemisphere. So this is India, and here we have Australia. From here equator would be passing. So this will be southern equatorial current. This is Agula's current. Moving from equator, that's why it is warmer current. Moving down, it will come in the form of west wind drift because drifting from the west. Moving above, it is west Australian current. Monsoon winds also play a role here. That's why these would be drifted in the northern hemisphere. And that is some part of circulation which we are going to see in northern hemisphere. I hope you understand the topic well. Thank you for watching.